Tonight on News 5 Live, Deputy Prime Minister Patrick Faber was not in cabinet today. Eric Tillett was the target of an unknown assailant on Monday evening in Belize City. A 50-year-old electrician is committed to stand trial for the sexual assault of a 3-year-old boy. Centaur Cable is targeted and robbed soon after it opened its doors. Citco to appeal the Candice Miller compensation package. And the 2019 Belize International Film Festival opens this Wednesday. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast. Welcome to News 5 Live for Tuesday, November 5th. I am Marlene Cuellar. The Deputy Prime Minister Patrick Faber was not at the start of today's cabinet sitting in Belmopan. It means he did not face his colleagues around the table who on Sunday turned up at the Civic Center en masse. Many of those cabinet colleagues have now seemingly turned their backs on him in support of John Saldivar for UDP leader. The Belmopan area representative John Saldivar is enjoying the support of key figures within the party, such as Michael Finnegan, Sister B, Erwin Contreras, and Gaspar Vega. Saldivar's slate includes Hugo Pat, who is running for the post of first deputy leader, while Beverly Williams is running for the post of second deputy leader. Sunday's gathering was larger in numbers and strength compared to Faber's candidacy launch in September. Today, Faber was the guest speaker at the UWI's 2019 Country Conference in Belize City, where he spoke of youth challenges, risk, and mitigations. But during parts of his speech, Faber touched on other items, such as the cabinet meeting held this morning and Sunday's shindig.
Just so that you know, the cabinet meeting is going on in Belmopan. And when I checked the schedule, there was a conflict. But I opted to come here instead of going to the cabinet meeting this morning. I'm still going eventually, and hopefully they will still be there and the meeting will still be going on. But I decided to come this morning because this is very important for Belize. My opponent had a big shindig, the Civic, right? So I don't want to think and I want to show up today because they intimidate me. I am a young person. I know how to take on challenges. Life on the road to success is never easy. It's bumpy sometimes. You take your lick and you move on, but you never give up. Next year is an election year. And I don't care whether I go vote for people. Actually, I do care, but that's not that's not for this forum, right? For now, I will say, I don't care whether you go and you intend to vote for red or blue. Register. You know how much young people still not register? Then when the politicians then do foolishness, you sit down and talk, watch I want to do this and I want to do that. Your fault. And get out and agitate for the kinds of leaders that you want. Right now you have choices to make. You people are very, very up on social media, for instance. And in the next term of government, come hell or high water, we are going to different prime minister and different kind of leadership altogether. You know who has a saying that whether you are a delegate for the PUP or UDP in these leadership conventions? You do. And I'm not to try to tell nobody if you vote for UDP. Nobody go from here and quote me wrong. They say that you are as young as you feel. So I associate myself with this group of young people who, as I've said, and you have agreed with me, hold the kind of change that we need in order to fix the issues of Belize. Are you with me? I want to agree with me because you feel what I'm saying, not just because I'm here as your Minister of Education with responsibility for youth as well, Deputy Prime Minister. I could get the man who lean not because, you know I feel too bad. I want you to agree with me. You believe deep down inside that you can make that kind of difference. Yes. And my friends, we need to stop the talking. And some of what I might say to you today might not be compatible with what the wider government wants me to say. To hell with it.
The Deputy Prime Minister also spoke on corruption among politicians. He says that there is a lot of corruption and the politicians are corrupt because the people are corrupt too. He then veered into crime, referring to Saldivar's turf and Belmopan as well as Roaring Creek and the Camalote area where violence is pervasive.
We have a way in this country as well where we spend a lot of money and we don't get a bang for a buck. That's the thing. And they always talk about corruption. And when they talk about corruption, they talk about the politicians, of course. Me and you, Mayor. But corruption goes beyond that. You know what? The politicians corrupt, by the way. And I don't have no problem saying it. Yes, there's a lot of corruption. They are corrupted because the people corrupted too. Look at the problem of crime and violence in our country. And it is almost negligible. Belmopan and Roaring Creek and Camalote area, they get out of hand. But by and large, it's a problem in the city. 4 miles by 4 miles, or maybe 5. How far the city goes? 5 miles or 6. One bridge saw and one bridge saw. And it is right in this little block that the majority of these murders, especially those that are gang-related, are happening. And you want to tell me we can't fix this problem?
Parts of Faber's speech also touched on the budget, saying the youth are being shortchanged since little is spent on the future of the country. Faber admitted that the government needs to do a better job in achieving change in the youth population.
The government spends $1 billion annually, minimum. You know how much of it goes to youth work? You know how much? $1 billion, right? That's 1,000 million if my math correct. $1,000 million. And if we spend 3 million per youth work, that's a lot. That's too much. Too much. What were they, Miss Mac? $2 million. And we say that the young people are the future of this country. How much we spend on sports? Mr. Jones probably less than what Miss Mackenzie. 1.9 million. So we add that up 2 and 2. The saving grace, of course, in all of this is that we spend almost 26 cents of every dollar on education. And that is why I am happy that there is the marriage between the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Youth, and the Ministry of Sports, because together, let's say the budget is $1 billion, then we get 200 and maybe 75 million out of the 1,000 million. That's a good chunk. But you know that the bulk of the monies that we spend in education is really spent on paying salaries. All the teachers, and forgive me, the teachers complain their salary not good, but they get a huge chunk of what we spend in the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, and Culture. Why am I saying this? Because if we really want to see change with the young people, and you've heard me say that that change is in your hand, but the government also needs to do a better job. And you say, Father, what are you the government going to talk about? I want your voice to be joined with mine in unison so that we can make better demands of what it is we spend our money on. And you see, it's not as easy as saying, take more and give it to youth, take more and give it to sports, you know. You have to be willing to say the other things that you're spending the money upon, because the money they spend, that, hey, that is not a big priority. So when certain elements that we're spending on start complaining that, hey, but you cut my budget, yes, but that is not as important as putting more into youth, putting more into sports. We can't have our cake and eat it. The money is finite.
Turning to crime, Belize City resident Eric Tillett was on his way home on Lavender Street when he came under a fire attack. A volley of bullets were unleashed and as many as 5 hit Tillett on various parts of his body. Tillett managed to regain his balance and strength and fled, jumping the fence and into the safety of his yard. The unknown gunman also fled the area. Tillett's family confirms he has undergone surgery at the KHMH. Here is News 5's Isani Caetano with this report.
Who came for Eric Tillett last evening and why? It's a question that perhaps only he can answer upon his release from the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital. On Monday, sometime after 6 p.m., Tillett was walking home on Lavender Street when someone took aim at him and unleashed as many as 14 shots in his direction. 5 of those rounds found their mark on various parts of his body.
I just see my brother, she get shot up. I don't know where the bullet come from, but they come wait at the house. And only that I know so far right now.
What did you guys do at the point where you saw him enter the yard bleeding?
He not enter the yard, he jump over a fence to get inside. And then we say he bloody, so we end up rush him to the emergency.
Upon being assailed by the lone gunman, Tillett ran through an adjacent property and fell into his yard bleeding. Several attempts were made by his family to contact the police department.
We call, but they no respond. I don't know if they don't answer their phone, if they don't want to try answer, but we end up get a car and we rush my brother to the emergency.
Now, I understand that as many as 14 shots were fired, either in the direction of your brother or in the general area. Why would anyone want to target your brother?
I don't know, sir, because my brother, I don't know, bad person, he stayed a yard and he just go around the lane, and from that, just that I don't know why who want to kill him. I don't know that the intention, I don't know that what.
How does he stand now? I know he's hospitalized. What are his chances?
My brother critical right now, but he
What are the doctors saying? Is he able to talk? Is he conscious?
he's talking to everybody, but he's fighting too because he already gone through surgery. He's okay, he's talking to everybody and everything is okay.
From the scene of the shooting, investigators were able to recover 10 spent shells. News 5 understands that 27-year-old Tillett had just left home on Monday evening to purchase a small quantity of marijuana when he was accosted. Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
This morning around 9:30, a pair of thieves entered the office of Centaur Cable in Ladyville. While one of them inquired about an unknown individual, the other brandished a firearm and proceeded to demand money from the cashier. The location at Ramon's Plaza across from the Airport Road Junction is rigged with a system of surveillance cameras, and so the entire ordeal was recorded. Notwithstanding the possibility of being caught in the act, the thieves, we understand, made off with just about $500 in cash. Ladyville police were summoned to the shopping center and commenced an investigation into the armed robbery. A 51-year-old man will have to stand trial at the January 2020 session of the Supreme Court for a horrible sexual offense of a child, only 3 years old. Alfonso Perez, an electrician of Rancho Dolores in the Belize district, is accused of sexually assaulting the young child in late January of this year when he allegedly had the child perform oral sex on him. This morning in the courtroom of Magistrate Emerson Banner, the case went to preliminary inquiry and ended in his paper committal. Perez was offered bail in the sum of $5,000, which he was able to meet by noon today. His next court appearance will be in the Supreme Court on January 21, 2019, when the session opens. Perez was initially arraigned on February 4, 2019 in the Belize City Magistrates Court for the sexual offense. At his arraignment, he was unrepresented and told the court that he was not guilty and had not raped the child. Perez was initially denied bail in February of this year due to the tender age of the young victim. The prosecutor had objected to bail, and he was remanded into custody until he was able to secure bail a few months ago after spending some time behind bars. In the Supreme Court, Jordan Pitts was fortunate to be spared jail time when he pleaded guilty to a charge of robbery. Pitts appeared in the courtroom of Justice Colin Williams, who considered various factors in making his judgment, including that Pitts was a minor at the time of the offense. He has no previous conviction, and he saved the court time by pleading guilty. Pitts was sentenced to a 4-year suspended sentence, which means that only if he is convicted of a crime within 3 years, he will have to serve 4 years behind bars. The incident for which he was taken to court occurred on June 23, 2012 on Barrack Road in Belize City. At the time, Pitts was only 16 years old. The minor was along with 2 persons when he held up and robbed Ludovino Mai and Santos Fernandez at gunpoint. The trio fled the area on their bicycles, but police were able to nab them in the area of Pickstock Street. Soon after, Mai and Fernandez arrived at the scene, and Mai was able to identify Pitts as the one who stole a cell phone. A firearm was also recovered at a nearby yard at which they had disposed of it. In trial, Pitts was represented by Oscar Salgado, while Crown Counsel Reese Catus prosecuted the case. Coming up, Citgo to appeal a compensation package award. For 20 years of her life, a Guinea Grass resident endured pain from an external hernia that developed so big that she carried her organs outside her body. The mother of 3 boys says that aside from the excruciating pain, the public stares were a challenge, so she mostly kept at home. Today, when we caught up with Maria Medina, her world has changed. She successfully underwent surgery at the KHMH, where the massive lump was removed, and she can now move around as a normal person. News 5's Dwayne Moody has the following uplifting story.
We are generally taught that we can be injured when we lift an extremely heavy object. With the exception of weightlifters who are professionally trained, we are told that we can develop a hernia. While there are various types of hernias, it is the abdominal exit of tissue or an organ, such as the bowel, through the wall of the stomach cavity in which it normally resides. If untreated, it can lead to life-threatening complications.
Every hernia have a different cause, you know. In her case, she had a previous surgery, and due to the previous surgery, she developed hernia, and that hernia was getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. And suddenly you see the patient that all the organ came out of outside of abdominal cavity, and then that make your a very complicated situation.
The resulting bulge can be painful, especially when you cough, bend over, lift a heavy object. That was the case of a mother of 3 boys from Guinea Grass Village in Orange Walk. 48-year-old Maria Medina had been experiencing excruciating pain for 20 years. The hernia she carried after having her young son grew and made it uncomfortable for her to walk and even socialize. It was tough for the single mother who couldn't even take care of her family.
It's a pain that's terrible. I can't suffer, like I can eat sometimes I have to eat every 4 hours, because if not, I get pain about 6-7 hours. When you're walking, when you want to jump in a bus, it's hard for me before, not now. Before I get the surgery.
Did people watch you differently? Did they?
Yes, because every time they watch me, they tell me, "Oh, Miss Maria, you got big belly. What you have?" I tell her I got on hernia, that's all. But I feel bad. I know I go out for nothing. Even for buy something, I know I go out.
Practically all her internal organs were outside, even the liver, 90% of the intestine were outside of the normal abdominal cavity, hanging, and it was very difficult for her to live in these conditions. But at the same time, it's a challenge for any surgeon, because to be successful in this kind of operation, not only need the expertise of the surgeon, need an entire team to work together, and the hospital has to provide some kind of resource to prepare this kind of operation.
Medina's condition is one of 2 cases in Belize that Dr. Emerson Mungia has seen since taking up residency at the Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital in 2004. But he was confident that with the adequate staff and resources, corrective surgery would be a success. On August 6, 2019, after some 2 hours of surgery, Medina was out of the operating theater and in recovery. The treatment process was extensive. 1 month, 20 days of hospitalization.
This kind of operation was very complex, because she had to stay at the hospital almost 2 months. She came with many complications. She had hypothyroidism too. She came with anemia. To do this operation, we had to prepare it very well in different times. Practically, we prepared this operation almost in 10 times. The first step to prepare this patient for surgery is to increase the capacity of the abdominal cavity to put the organ inside again, because due to the long period of time with the intestine outside, the abdominal cavity get collapsed. If I want to do in one time to put the organs inside and close the abdominal cavity, she will die in next 6 hours, because heart condition, a lungs condition, and hypertension of the inside the abdominal cavity. So this is why we had to prepare this kind of operation step by step. Normally, I schedule 6 weeks And practically, we set in time, and everything was successful in 6 weeks.
The surgery at the private medical facility in Belize or outside of the country would have cost Medina over $100,000. With the services available at the National Referral Hospital, the family paid only $5,000. Today, Medina was back at the KHMH 3 months post-surgery. Calling it a miracle, Medina is feeling confident and grateful for having a new look at life.
She came to my clinic today, and she is walking normal. She can do whatever she wants. She can eat whatever she wants to eat. She can do whatever, a normal life practically.
So aftercare continues, as in she has to take medication and things like that?
Actually, no. She's not taking no more medication. She's out of medication. Actually, I'm going to discharge her soon. I think this is the last appointment with me.
Thanks God, thank the doctor, because he make a miracle in my life.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Kevin Arnold Sr. alleges that his 7-month-old baby boy was injured while in the custody of the Human Services Department. According to Arnold, the boy and his 2-year-old sister were removed from the family home in Belize City because the department found their living arrangements to be unfit. Arnold claims that the children were taken on September 9th and placed in a home at a location unknown to him. He says that a little over a week later, he learned that his child had been seriously injured by a blow to the head and that it had caused damage to the eye and brain. The father says that he's desperate for more answers about his child's condition, but the Human Services has not been forthcoming with responses. We note that these allegations made by the father, and so we reached out to the Human Services this evening, but we were told that the director and all other senior personnel who would be able to provide a response are out of office. Here's what the father shared about the incident.
While we get the visitation the 28th of September, we visit the kids, and after the next visitation, we ask for, after the visitation finish, we ask for a visitation after the 28th. After the 28th, they told us, emergency. Meet them at the Cleopatra White. When we meet them at the Cleopatra White, I meet my baby in a state that he looked like he got hit in the head with a metal object, and the eye, like he messed up. Doctor explained that the baby get hit with a solid object, and he is totally, you could call, brain damage, next to die. And after the 28th, we went to see the baby, and the baby head get very large, and we hold the baby in our hand, and the baby head go up and down, up and down. Only thing I would have liked, an x-ray and a doctor report. I saw the baby last week. The little girl, she wasn't in a very good state, and I really need answers.
When you say a very good state, what do you mean?
I saw her with a black and blue hit in her head, and a blue in her temple too. And also she have a lot of sores on her feet with a runny nose. I didn't know what the mishandle that happened at the shelter, but nobody want to give us no answer.
We'll follow up with the Human Services Department on Wednesday. On Monday, the family of Aspinall Welch, who is incarcerated at the Belize Central Prison while awaiting trial for attempted murder, shared their story with us about his struggle behind bars. Robbery, as the 29-year-old isn't popularly known, is a paraplegic and is suffering from a severe case of bedsore. Despite a letter from urologist Dr. Marcus Rugama informing of his medical and physical conditions, the court is yet to budge and offer Welch bail. Making matters worse for the wheelchair-bound inmate, his family lacks the finances to secure legal representation for him, and as such have visited a number of offices, including that of the Ombudsman, Lionel Arzu.
So the Ombudsman, they said that they want to get back to me before the week out. I went to the office of the Chief Justice. I wrote a letter. I took the medical report. I took a picture of the bed sore. The secretary said they will get back to me this week. Haven't gotten an answer as yet. Who else would I answer? I don't remember. Who else would I answer?
You're turning to the media now as a final appeal to publicize this particular story.
Yes.
How has the family been dealing with this, though? I gather you guys visit Mr. Welt at the prison on a regular basis and you've seen his condition worsen. How are you, as a common law wife, coping, seeing as though you're seeing him in this very bad state of mind?
It hurt to see somebody will okay, but go through that they can't help. It hurt. For watch your loved one, they go through that they can't help them. You know, and then the people out there could help and don't want to help. Because the judge could have made at least grant bail. What he could do is sign in our chair. What he could do, when we go to court, we have to beg the police to carry upstairs a step and they give me a lot of attitude because of the past. What he doing at the past, you know, treat people like that.
In early October, Supreme Court Justice Courtney Abel ruled in favor of Candice Miller, former city administrator. Miller was contracted by former Mayor Dow Bradley and was awarded a contract extension which saw a significant increase in her annual salary just before the PUP took control of City Hall. Miller's contract was terminated and she sought relief from the courts. Justice Abel ruled that the City Council should pay Miller some $378,000. Today, Mayor Bernard Wagner told News 5 that the Council has voted unanimously to appeal the ruling.
I believe about 2 weeks ago, and we voted unanimously to pursue an appeal. We have our attorneys working on that matter. But I don't want to discuss that much, but the point is that we'll be appealing the case.
Okay, so the documents haven't been prepared and filed as yet?
Our attorneys are gathering those together.
Confident that the appeal will be successful?
Our attorneys believe that we have a strong case, and so we leave it in their hands.
The entire council feels that way as well?
The entire council unanimously voted for the appeal.
There were no objections or concerns in terms that if the appeal is not successful, monies will be lost. Cost for the council.
Well, monies have already been lost. The day Darrell Bradley and the previous mayor and the previous council signed that contract, an immoral contract, monies were lost.
You don't believe that it was wrong for her to be terminated since she had a contract with the previous council?
It's an immoral act. An immoral act.
Mayor Bernard Wagner also spoke on the council's financial operations. The mayor says that the council is gradually emerging from the slow season and has been able to meet every debt and bill.
What we have been doing is nothing short of miraculous. You don't see Waste Control going on strike and throwing garbage in front of City Hall with this city council. We have been paying all our bills. We have been meeting salaries every single 15th and end of the month. We have people in the council who continuously to try to sabotage our operation, but we have met all our obligations. We are in a slow part of the season. We are climbing out of it gradually. We are very, very near the conclusion of our bond, and as soon as that is finalized, we'll be in a very good footing financially.
How is the council balancing revenues and expenditure?
It is a work in progress, I would say. It's continuously work in progress. We have our suppliers. We have to meet those suppliers. We have our operational expenses, light, water, all of those things we have to meet. But we have been doing an exceptional job, and I will not sit here and have no entity say that this council has not performed well above board.
After the break, a family from Orange Walk gets the keys for a new home from the Social Security Board and Hand in Hand Ministries. The family of Amanda Leyva is resting comfortably tonight in their new home. The mother of two received the keys to their new home this afternoon. Hand in Hand Ministries, who has a proud record of assisting needy families, partnered with the Social Security Board to provide the Leyvas their home. Here's that story.
This is actually my wish and my dream came true.
How long were you waiting for something like this?
My entire life.
The single mom waited for about a year before she received the good news back in September. The Social Security Board took up the project as part of its corporate social responsibility initiative. SSB staff and volunteers with Hand in Hand Ministries teamed up and built the small family home over the weekend.
This was the perfect choice because it combined both community service, it combined volunteering from the staff who came out on the entire weekend, put in all the labor that was needed to get this house built in about 3.5 years.
When I received the phone call that I received the house, and I cried. It meant a lot to me. I cried. Cried. I thank everyone who prayed for me. Honestly, I'm very happy.
The house features one-bedroom, kitchen space and bathroom. The small home cost just over $19,000 and was fully sponsored by the Social Security Board. This is the 397th house that Hand in Hand Ministries has handed over. The organization is based in and works primarily in Belize City, but once in a while they extend their work to other districts.
For clients all the way outside of 25 miles, which is our margin, it's a longer process. We only build this far if we have a local organization who is interested in building in a specific location.
This is the SSB's first collaboration with Hand in Hand Ministries since it embarked on its initiative, and its staff will be undertaking its second project over the coming weeks in Dangriga. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Repairs on the historical swing bridge continue in the downtown area of the city. The Belize City Council's initial assessment of the state of the swing bridge revealed serious structural issues, which means that further work is required. Areas that require urgent attention include severely rotted guardrails, deteriorated base plates, and gaps on the pedestrian walkway. Mayor Bernard Wagner says the council took the immediate decision to close a side of the pathway and undertake these repairs to avoid any risk to residents.
That bridge again has been there for two administrations, two mayors actually, Mayor Zenaida Moya, Mayor Darrell Bradley. That one issue that has been there for 15 years. None of the previous mayors, none of the previous council ever look at the risks they are posing to our residents in who traverse that bridge every day. We as a city council could have sit back and said, well, we have left the bridge right there, so. But what we did, we said, no, man. This poses as a danger for our residents of our city. We need to do an assessment of the bridge. And so when we went in, we had the contractor look at the initial assessment. We took our engineering and you know, like when they fix our house or then they repair our house, as you dig in, you find one broken beam, you start to dig deeper, and then you find all that is wrong. And so we want to get it right. We will not, for political expediency, put the lives of our residents in danger. And if it have to take 5-6 months to get it right, we will get it right. I'm not saying that it will take 5 or 6 months. We are nearing the end of the road with that side of the bridge, but we do have the other side as well that needs repairs. Our fix right now is a temporary fix. It will give us a year and a half to 2 years, give us a break. We need a new bridge. That is the bottom line. We need a new bridge, but we cannot have the residents of our city in clear and present danger.
Miss Garifuna Hopkins Devaney Martinez was crowned Miss Garifuna Belize 2019-2020 over the weekend by the National Garifuna Council at the annual Miss Garifuna Belize Cultural Pageant. Following the National Solidarity Mass on Saturday, the Belmopan Civic Center was the venue for the competition, where 8 young ladies vied for the title. The contestants showcased their fluency of the language through their introduction and presentation, which focused on issues affecting the Garifuna community or relevant to the theme for this year's celebration. The delegates also performed various cultural dances and displayed traditional clothing. Taruni Gonzalez from Belmopan captured 3rd place, while Chastity Williams, representing St. Bite, came 2nd, and Devaney Martinez emerged victorious as the new Miss Garifuna Belize. The theme for this year's celebration, when translated, is Garifuna language is the foundation of Garifuna survival. The Belize City Council says it is in the process of seeking legal advice to take action against the Guardian's newspaper for an article published regarding a shortage of water at City Hall. The council says it considered the remarks defamatory. According to Mayor Bernard Wagner, the cause of the temporary water outage was due to a broken pipe, which has now been repaired.
When we reached the offices, we had a break in a pipe at the City Hall, and it took our team about 4 or 5 hours to get it back up and running. But where you have people in our midst deliberately continuing to breed out false rumors, I don't know where it takes us as a country, where it will take us as a nation. We can't continue down this road where all these petty back and forth innuendos, fake news, keep rearing its ugly head. And what it does, it prevents the work of the City Council. These type of events that we have to be addressing continuously really eats out at the heart of us performing our functions as a city.
What caused the break in the pipe?
As you know, we must move into a new City Hall. These things occur. We have had many new tenants in the taking up occupancy in the lower level, and probably that is what occurred.
When we come back, the UWI is hosting a conference focusing on youth, gender equality, and their mental health. A two-day conference focusing on youths is underway in Belize City. It is being hosted by the University of the West Indies. The discussions are taking on issues of gender and equality, youth security and mental health, critical areas that impact the young and vulnerable population. Here is Hippolyta Novello with the following story.
The University of the West Indies, through its 2019 Belize Country Conference, is stimulating discussion related to the topic area Youth and Security, Assessing Risks, Mitigating Vulnerabilities, and Improving Well-Being.
The team was selected by our local organizing committee, and it had 4 broad areas, and those areas focus on gender and equality, youth security, mental health and well-being, and I can't remember the other topic, but it is within those 4 broad themes under that one topic, the overarching topic, that our researchers were able to submit their papers for review. I would hope that our audience use this opportunity, this platform, to ensure that their voices are heard, particularly because of the topic that we've selected. It's a priority area and we need people to focus on that.
Agreeing with the acting head of UWI, Dr. Charmaine Sanders, was Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Youth and Sports, Patrick Faber. Faber told the gathering that to create equal opportunities for the youth population, their risks and vulnerabilities they face must be recognized.
Youth development, in any format that you want to put it, is the most important element of this Belizean society that we need to address. You agree with me? Any of the issues that we are facing in this country can be fixed if we fix what is wrong in terms of the development of young people in this country. We're focusing on citizen security and our young people growing up in this unstable environment, becoming more secure, and we're looking at the risks, we're looking at the vulnerabilities. And if we do this in an organized and focused way, we can move leaps and bounds in terms of where we want to take Belize.
CARICOM Youth Ambassador Chris Miller underscored the importance of how changing the public's view of youth population is important.
Youth have been stigmatized, marginalized, and largely treated as the main protagonists of criminal violence. At the same time, youth are also viewed as vulnerable and helpless. Of lately, one of the things we have been doing as a Department of Youth Service and as CARICOM Youth Ambassadors is changing the view of how we see youth in our country. We advocate that youths are partners in the development and not a problem that needs to be fixed.
Belize City Mayor Bernard Wagner says that the Belize Country Conference provides the appropriate platform where focus is given to the risks and vulnerabilities of youth population and the mitigation needed.
Clearly our youth are a very challenged group. Many of the issues facing our youths with crime, with not having enough educational opportunities, all of these dovetail into what is transpiring in our city and in our other urban areas, and we need platforms such as this, which focuses on how we can assess the risks that our youths face, mitigate some of those vulnerabilities, and look on how, as leaders in our society, that we could certainly enhance that they have a smooth sailing as they go along in their youth.
The conference continues on Wednesday at the Mexican Sports Center in Belize City. Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
The Caribbean Community Climate Change Center and the UN Convention on Biological Diversity are hosting the first of a series of regional dialogue sessions aimed at raising awareness and identifying opportunities for ensuring that nature-based solutions are included in climate change mitigation and resilience building at the national level. The dialogue will include the sharing of experiences relating to recognizing the role for ecosystem-based approaches in climate-related work at the country level. Carlos Fuller is the International Liaison Officer with the 5 Cs.
On the climate change, one of the significant ways we can adapt to climate change is to using ecosystem-based adaptation. That is, using your natural resources of the country to adapt to climate change. So, for example, how can you use our mangroves? How can you use your coral reefs, your protected areas? Those things, if you can build the resilience of that, your natural ecosystems can then help you to adapt to climate change.
Now we're looking at participants from across Central America and the Caribbean. What is the primary focus of this 4-day workshop, and what are some of the issues being discussed in respect of climate change?
Well, the primary idea is to exchange information on what one country is doing and how you can learn from the other countries. Because obviously, when you're working with your own ecosystems, you may not see what's occurring in your neighboring country, Panama, in Belize, or in Bahamas, Antigua and Barbuda. So it's exchanges information. Also, what were the challenges that you faced? And does a country have that challenge, and have they overcome that challenge? So the idea is to share that information. But then also, even within a country, to share experiences among each other, because the climate change community in a country might not be knowing what the biodiversity community is doing in the same country. So it's to share information also at the national level.
The Football Federation of Belize is holding a national D-license coaching course throughout the country in November and December. The course for the Belize district kicked off today at the ITVEC compound. According to the FFB, it is to provide coaches with the tools to improve the football environment and increase players' independence. It is being facilitated by FFB instructors. Reporter Andrea Polanco tells us more.
24 football coaches in the Belize district are taking a 4-day National D-license coaching course. These participants represent experienced coaches who are active in the grassroots football, as well as primary and high school teachers who are working with school teams. They will sit in a room and learn how to plan their coaching, and then they will go to the field to do some practice tests over the course of 4 days. After that, they will have to do a 6-week exercise, which will be assessed in order for them to obtain the D-license. Football Federation of Belize instructor Elmer Pott is one of the facilitators.
We started early this morning with a D-license course, which is for coaches to teach at the grassroots level. We're covering with them both theory and practical, basically how to go about planning and also to the execution part on the field.
So talk to us about the planning. What are some of the things that the planning would entail?
Well, first of all, we have to look at a group of players that we're dealing with, the age range that we're concentrating. This is from ages 6 to 14 at the grassroots level. We have to also consider when you're planning your equipment that you need to use as a coach for your training, what kind of training you're going to provide your players, and also that it's oriented to your objective within your parameters of your coaching period.
Coach Wilmore Stain is one of the participants. Although he has coached football for many years, Stain says that he still needs this kind of training to help develop the sport in Belize.
Most of the things that they are teaching us are things that I know and my colleague here knows too. But what happened is the concept. I might tell the player, freeze the ball, turn back the ball. No, you will call that press. That's a concept. I will use the word counter-attack. I use the word attack. So concepts are very important when you're talking about the sports, and so I think this is a big thing for me. Although I know the game, I've been involved with the game for a long time.
So there are still elements that you need to refer to.
Exactly so. These elements are very fundamental. They are very fundamental because when somebody hears me say press, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what we are talking about. We're supposed to be on one page. And I think that is very key for us if we want to play football. And this is a D license. From there, you can go right up to A license. But it's fundamental that we train as much coaches in our country so that football can progress. Because we just can't only have the structure. We got to have people on the ground with the proper training so they can carry out the tasks they're supposed to carry out.
Potts says that this D-license course fits into the FFB's plan to improve football at all levels in the country.
What the FFB has in plan is to uplift the level of football. And the only way we could uplift something in our country is by putting into the resource. So coaches are the main priority when it comes to the resource. If we have trained coaches, then we will have better players. And if we have better players, then we can uplift the level of football in our country.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
The training continues for the rest of this month through to December across the country. For a full schedule of the trainings, you can contact the FFB. Coming up after the break, the film festival is here. A long list of local and international films to be screened. The 14th edition of the film festival opens this Wednesday, and we will be airing the event here on the station. A long list of films will be screened, including local films, as a push is made to market Belize as an ideal film location. Mark Ange, a Taiwanese filmmaker, is the guest speaker for Wednesday's opening, which will be hosted by Belizean-born Candice Gibson, who is now with the MSNBC network. Here is News 5's Dwayne Moody with a sneak peek at what to expect.
2019 Belize International Film Festival opens on Wednesday night at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts and will feature both Belizean and international films from across the region, including Cuba, the U.S., and entries from the Commonwealth. The films will be screened at venues across the city, including the Ramada Belize City Princess, the Mexican Cultural Institute, and the Bliss.
We're about to start the 14th edition of the Belize International Film Festival.
Guest speaker at the opening ceremony of the 14th edition of the film festival will be Mark Ang. The Taiwanese filmmaker and screenwriter is the founder of Formosa Festival of International Filmmaker Awards and the CEO of the 58th Asia Pacific Film Festival. Ang has won 56 awards since 2014 for his short film entitled Replace. His goal is to introduce Taiwan to the world through his audiovisual work. Through the Spotlight Taiwan program, the idea is that Belize will be able to tap into the Asian industry.
I saw a lot of couple of Belize local produced films or musical videos. I found actually that they're all very maturely produced. I mean, no matter whether in the quality or the editing. So I think there are a lot of talented filmmakers here. I think the only lack is financial support, right? I believe that because it also happened in Taiwan. The difference is that the base in Taiwan is so big. The history of movie industry has been 100 years in Taiwan, and we have at least like 200 to 400 pieces short films produced every year from all the filmmaking schools in Taiwan. And of course we have a lot of company willing to support, and we have a lot of subsidy from the government. However, we also has been a period of time that we are lack of resource. Really, even now, just we have to make film by ourselves. But I think because it's in the very, very beginning in Belize of this filmmaking industry, one of my suggestions is that internet is a very useful tool for nowadays.
The opening ceremony will include an opening short film, My Father Belize, at 6 p.m. There will also be a red carpet cocktail. Following the official event, an opening feature from Taiwan entitled On Happiness Road will be launched.
It is an animated feature has been winning a lot of awards in Taiwan, and it comes highly recommended. It's not, as you would imagine, like just a children's movie when you hear animation. It's a very personal look at have we become the adult that we wanted, and it's a personal journey that someone took on the way to adulthood. So I'm sure there's lots of things about this film that we could all find to engage in. Thursday, we featured the Green Globe category, which is an environmental section that we have been working with Belize's environmental community. That is 2 screenings at the Bliss for schools and anyone who's interested at 9:30 a.m. and at 1:30, and there are a few films about environmental issues that will be screened at that time. The movies start on Thursday as well at the Princess, 7 and 9. On Thursday also is our film market, and we do have 3 members of the Location Managers Guild of America that will be here. They're looking to market Belize as heavily in coming year as a film location, so they'll be available for doing some panel discussions.
Tween Moody for News 5. Festival.
A 15-minute short directed by Carla Habet is premiering at the 2019 International Film Festival. The original screenplay for Time for Eat was written by Carlo and Andre Habet, and the narrative was later produced by Veritas Production. The short film is Habet's foray into motion pictures And while Time for Eat aims to be entertaining and socially conscious, the goal of the piece is to be uniquely Belizean. Earlier today, we caught up with Habet and the crew, and they told us all about their newest venture.
Time for Eat is really a very pragmatic conclusion to a dream, I would say, that I've had since I've been a kid, which is to make a film, first of all, and well, to make films in general, but I realized that I have to make a film first. After doing commercials and music videos, I really wanted to properly jump into this thing, and I know the challenges, definitely things like the crew, sound, it's so much more than a music video. So I wanted to do something which I thought was simple enough, whereby we wouldn't need too many logistics and that kind of stuff. I wanted to just get one out the door.
Basically, Time for Eat came about as a result of wanting to do a movie that was limited in scale, that we could feasibly create. And then it wasn't until a year later that Carla sent me another email saying, hey, we just shot that movie, and I'm just like, what? I was very surprised by it. And then it took another 6 months for me to see a first cut of it. And so when I saw the first cut, I was really amazed by it, just because, you see a lot of sort of film work comes through Belize, and the acting sometimes feels like it's a bit larger than I usually like acting to be in things that I enjoy. And so I was really impressed by Carla's ability to bring out of the actors a sort of natural acting style that I think is underrepresented in a lot of sort of Caribbean and Belizean media especially.
When Carlo first presented me with the script, to be honest, I was a little bit hesitant at first, because it is a very, the story talks about things that resonate in the Belizean society. It's stuff that's happening right now. It's very relevant, very up to date. And my character is the villain of the story.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.